If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns have once again found themselves at the center of a media storm, and this time, it's not about a game, a draft pick, or a controversial play call. It's about SHEDEUR Sanders, the polarizing rookie quarterback who seems to attract as much attention off the field as he does on it. The latest chapter in this ongoing saga began when head coach Kevin Stefanski, in what many are calling a baffling move, refused to commit to naming SHEDEUR as the team's QB2 following the Joe Flacco trade. Instead, Stefanski hinted that practice squad quarterback Bailey Zappe could serve as the backup for now, insisting that SHEDEUR needed a full week of preparation and a game plan tailored specifically to him before stepping into that role. On paper, that might sound like coach speak, the kind of vague reassurance that coaches use to buy time and calm the storm. But in this case, the reaction from fans, analysts, and even former players has been anything but calm. 4 weeks now, SHEDEUR Sanders has been the talk of Cleveland. Some love him, some doubt him, but everyone has an opinion. His college resume and his connection to his legendary father, Deion Coach Prime Sanders, make him one of the most high-profile rookies in recent memory, despite being drafted in the 5th round. And that's where the confusion begins. Because while most 5th-rounders are expected to spend their rookie seasons learning quietly from the sidelines, SHEDEUR is no ordinary mid-round pick. From the moment he arrived at rookie minicamp, live streaming the experience to thousands of fans, he made it clear that he wasn't there just to make the team. He was there to lead it. Yet now, weeks into the season, he's sitting behind not only Joe Flacco, but potentially Bailey Zappe, a practice squad QB. It's no wonder his fans are furious, and even neutral observers are scratching their heads, wondering what exactly the Browns' plan is for him. Among those questioning Stefanski's approach is former NFL safety and current ESPN analyst Ryan Clark, who unleashed a passionate critique of the Browns' handling of SHEDEUR on First Take. Clark didn't mince words. He said what many fans have been thinking but didn't dare to say out loud. You have to understand, with SHEDEUR Sanders, is going to come more media attention, more scrutiny, Clark said. He's going to be treated unlike anything else in that locker room. That was Clark's way of saying that Stefanski should have been prepared for the SHEDEUR circus long before it arrived. The cameras, the headlines, the nonstop coverage, those come with the territory when you draft a player who's both a social media icon and the son of one of the most magnetic figures in sports history. You can't draft SHEDEUR Sanders and then act shocked when every move he makes is under a microscope. Clark's comments hit even harder when he went a step further, calling on Stefanski to show some leadership and transparency. You're going to have to answer questions about him, which is why you need answers prepared. If he's still figuring it out, which he should be, which he is, then give them a reason why. Clark continued. And he's right, because right now, it feels like the Browns are trying to have it both ways. They want the excitement and publicity that comes with having SHEDEUR on the roster, but they don't seem willing to deal with the responsibility of managing his development properly. You can't keep the kid in limbo forever. Either he's the backup and next in line to take over if Flacco falters, or he's a developmental project who needs a full redshirt year. The problem is, Stefanski hasn't committed to either path, and that uncertainty is feeding the media frenzy. What makes this even more interesting is that Ryan Clark didn't stop at criticizing Stefanski's communication. He went full throttle, suggesting that SHEDEUR should consider parting ways with the Browns altogether if he's not named QB2. If he is not named the backup quarterback, it's time to part ways. It's time to trade him. It's time to get him out of your locker room, Clark declared. That's a bold statement, but one that carries some logic. Clark argued that if Stefanski and the Browns truly saw SHEDEUR as their quarterback of the future, they'd be giving him every opportunity to learn and grow in live game situations, even in limited snaps. The fact that they're entertaining the idea of Bailey Zappe being ahead of him on the depth chart suggests something deeper. Maybe they're not as invested in SHEDEUR's development as they claim to be. And if that's the case, why keep him around at all? Clark's perspective isn't coming out of nowhere, either. The NFL landscape is filled with teams that could use a player like SHEDEUR Sanders, a young, talented, high-upside quarterback who can learn behind a veteran or even compete for a starting job. The Las Vegas Raiders, for example, are struggling to make sense of their quarterback situation with Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, and Aiden O'Connell all taking turns looking mediocre. The Baltimore Ravens could use a capable backup with Lamar Jackson battling injuries yet again. Even the Cincinnati Bengals, despite trading for Joe Flacco, could have looked at SHEDEUR as a long-term insurance policy behind Joe Burrow. The point is, there are teams that would jump at the chance to have him, and the Browns risk losing out on both his potential and his market value if they continue to mishandle this situation. But here's where it gets complicated. While Clark's advice sounds reasonable in theory, the Browns don't seem ready to give up on SHEDEUR just yet. Stefanski did mention in that same press conference that the plan is still for SHEDEUR to start at some point this season. That statement, vague as it was, suggests that the team sees him as part of their long-term plan. Maybe Stefanski is simply trying to shield him from the pressure, giving him time to adapt to the speed of the NFL before throwing him into the fire. It's possible that he's taking the slow cook approach, the same one that teams like the Chiefs used with Patrick Mahomes or the Packers used with Jordan Love. The difference, of course, is that those teams had established veterans entrenched as starters. The Browns' situation feels more chaotic, more improvised, and that's what's fueling the frustration. SHEDEUR Sanders isn't just any rookie quarterback. He's a brand, a media presence, and a lightning rod for attention. Everything he does gets amplified, and that's both a blessing and a curse. On one hand, his confidence, charisma, and digital reach make him a dream for marketing departments. On the other, that same spotlight can be blinding, especially for a franchise that's not used to handling it. The Browns aren't exactly the model of stability, and Stefanski, for all his coaching strengths, doesn't seem entirely comfortable navigating the media firestorm that comes with a player like SHEDEUR. You can sense the tension between wanting to do what's best for the team and wanting to avoid unnecessary drama. But as Clark pointed out, avoiding the drama isn't an option anymore. It's already here. The irony of this whole situation is that SHEDEUR has done nothing wrong. By all accounts, he's been professional, committed, and patient. He's shown flashes of brilliance in practice, impressed teammates with his poise, and handled the scrutiny better than many veterans would. Yet he's still on the sidelines, waiting for a clear role that may never come. For a player who was already doubted throughout the draft process, with many believing he was unfairly pushed down due to politics, perception, and the shadow of his father, this latest setback feels like déjà vu. It's as if no matter what he does, the goalposts keep moving. So what happens next? If Stefanski continues to hesitate, the noise will only get louder. Fans will demand answers. Analysts will keep dissecting every press conference, and SHEDEUR's camp will eventually grow restless. The Browns can only walk this tightrope for so long before something gives. Maybe they finally name him QB2, giving him the reps he deserves. Maybe they explore trade options quietly behind the scenes, testing the market to see what teams might offer. Or maybe, just maybe, Stefanski's patience pays off, and SHEDEUR's eventual debut silences every critic in one spectacular performance. Whatever the outcome, one thing is clear. This situation has become much bigger than just a depth chart decision. It's a reflection of how NFL teams handle young talent in the age of social media, where perception can matter almost as much as performance. Ryan Clark's fiery comments might have been dramatic, but they struck a chord because they speak to a larger truth. If a team doesn't have a real plan for a player like SHEDEUR Sanders, then keeping him around only hurts both sides. And unless the Browns make their intentions clear soon, this story isn't going away. It's only just getting started. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. SHEDEUR Sanders has sent shockwaves through the NFL world, and not in the usual way a rising star might. The young quarterback, known for his fearless attitude and fiery leadership on the field, took to the airwaves in a statement that has the Cleveland Browns organization and its fanbase buzzing with disbelief. It wasn't just a routine post-game interview or a fleeting comment caught on a microphone. It was a full-on verbal salvo, sharp, uncompromising, and direct, aimed squarely at the heart of the Browns management. The tone, the content, and the timing have all the hallmarks of a classic locker room earthquake that fans love to dissect, debate, and, in some cases, fan the flames of. Sanders didn't hold back, and the implications are already reverberating through sports media channels, online forums, and social media feeds, where reactions are ranging from outright support to sheer incredulity. The quarterback's statement was nothing short of incendiary. In a moment that seemed almost scripted for maximum impact, Sanders criticized the Browns' handling of the team, the strategic decisions made by the coaching staff, and, most controversially, the front office's approach to building a winning roster. He didn't couch his words in diplomacy or corporate doublespeak. Every line was deliberate, every accusation layered with the kind of frustration and urgency that makes headlines. Sources close to the team suggest that this wasn't the kind of interview the organization had cleared or anticipated. He just went for it, one insider reportedly said, emphasizing that Sanders' delivery was raw, emotional, and unmistakably personal. It's rare for a player to express dissatisfaction so publicly, and rarer still for it to happen in a way that practically invites scrutiny of every recent management decision. Fans of the Browns are experiencing a spectrum of emotions. Some are rallying behind Sanders, seeing his candor as a reflection of a competitive spirit that refuses to settle for mediocrity. Others are stunned, even angry, questioning whether such public criticism undermines the unity and morale of the team. Social media is exploding with memes, heated debates, and speculation. Was Sanders justified, or did he cross an unspoken line of professional decorum? Analysts and commentators are dissecting each phrase, parsing the tone, and predicting the fallout. Headlines are already spinning narratives about locker room tension, potential trade rumors, and a brewing conflict that could define not only Sanders' early career, but also the trajectory of the Browns' upcoming season. The statement itself has been described as unapologetically honest, and indeed, Sanders didn't shy away from specifics. He highlighted what he perceives as missteps in personnel decisions, questioned the direction of the team's offensive strategy, and hinted at deeper issues regarding communication between the players and management. For a quarterback with his potential, speaking out like this is both a risk and a power move. The risk, obviously, is alienating the very people who control contracts, playbooks, and team culture. The power, however, lies in the public narrative he controls. He's no longer just a player. He's a voice, a figure whose opinions now carry weight beyond the field. The Browns executives reportedly held emergency meetings following the interview, trying to assess the potential damage and decide on a strategy for addressing both internal morale and public perception. There's also the question of timing. Sanders' statement comes at a moment when the Browns are trying to stabilize after a season marked by inconsistency, injuries, and some questionable draft decisions. For a player to go public now, the optics are intense. Some insiders argue that Sanders' comments could catalyze necessary changes, forcing management to confront issues they may have been avoiding. Others suggest it risks creating a wedge between the locker room and the front office, something no team wants when cohesion is critical. For fans, it's a dramatic twist, the kind of storylines that fuel weeks of speculation, highlight reels, and late-night sports talk. Every analyst seems to have an opinion, from former players weighing in on leadership dynamics to coaches breaking down the potential long-term impact on team chemistry. Interestingly, Sanders' reputation as a competitive, passionate athlete amplifies the effect of his words. He's known for his fiery play on the field, his laser focus, and an almost cinematic confidence. Off the field, that same intensity now fuels narratives about a quarterback unafraid to speak truth to power. The optics are compelling. A young star with talent, ambition, and a platform, publicly questioning the very system meant to support him. For the media, it's a goldmine. For the Browns, it's a crisis that requires careful handling. Reports suggest that internal communications have intensified, with coaches and executives attempting to clarify intentions, reassure players, and, perhaps most importantly, prevent the story from spiraling further. But Sanders' comments have also sparked speculation about his future. Could this be a prelude to a trade? A warning to management that his patience has limits? Or is it simply an expression of frustration, a human moment from an athlete who cares deeply about winning and refuses to hide that sentiment? Rumors are already circulating, with various analysts suggesting different scenarios. Some argue that the Browns need to respond publicly to maintain authority and control the narrative, while others say that any knee-jerk response could exacerbate the situation. The balance is delicate, and the tension is palpable, not just within the organization but across the NFL community. In essence, Sanders has turned what could have been an ordinary, media appearance into a defining moment of his career. The implications for the Browns are significant, affecting team strategy, fan relations, and even broader league conversations about player agency, transparency, and leadership. The airwaves are alive with debate. Commentators are replaying the interview clip endlessly, and social media metrics suggest that this story isn't going away anytime soon. Sanders' audacity, charisma, and timing have combined to create a perfect storm of attention, analysis, and speculation. Whether he's ultimately praised as a truth-teller or criticized as a disruptor, one thing is certain. He has made his voice impossible to ignore. The aftermath is already shaping up to be as dramatic as the statement itself. Fans are calling for clarity, teammates are reportedly caught in a web of uncertainty, and management is reportedly weighing options that range from damage control to tactical adjustments in leadership communication. In an era where player statements can shift public perception almost instantly, Sanders has proven that words off the field can be just as powerful as actions on it. It's a narrative that promises to evolve over the coming weeks, as every press conference, every social media post, and every game becomes a potential chapter in this unfolding saga. For now, the sports world watches, debates, and speculates. How will the Browns respond? What will this mean for SHEDEUR Sanders' career? And will this audacious move change the dynamic of the NFL as we know it? Ultimately, what makes this story so compelling is the combination of talent, youth, and fearlessness. Sanders' willingness to confront his organization publicly, the timing of the remarks, and the candid nature of his critique have all contributed to a narrative ripe for discussion and analysis. As sports media continues to dissect every nuance, one thing remains clear. SHEDEUR Sanders has ignited a firestorm that could redefine not only his career, but also the way players interact with management in the league. Cleveland, for better or worse, is now at the center of a conversation that transcends wins and losses, moving into the territory of power, influence, and the complex dynamics of modern professional football. Every fan, commentator, and analyst is watching closely, waiting for the next development. Because in the world of NFL drama, few moments have the potential to be this explosive, this immediate, and this unforgettable. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you liked the video, share it with a fellow fan, hit subscribe, and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!